Well, indeed, President Emmanuel Macron,
as you can see there, visuals.
President Cyril Ramaphosa receiving President Macron. We know that the two leaders, the last time they met in Paris, France.
So as you can see there, visuals of French President Emmanuel Macron undertaking his state visit in South Africa with President Cyril Ramaphosa. We did have, interviews conducted by my colleague Nzinga Gunta. A little bit later on, they're going to be discussing various other issues related to trade and investments, and also a cross-border skills sharing, which is quite imperative and important at this particular stage. We do have our foreign news editor, Sophie Mokoena, who is on the ground covering the story for us as well. And of course, we will keep in touch with her a little bit later to find out what else has unfolded at this particular meeting, what other ministers were saying in terms of the work that they're hoping to be doing with France.
Also now working in those days, the names of women who participated in the Women's March, but also the message they were carrying on that day. And this is historic in a sense that President Macron himself now having an understanding of the role of women in South Africa during the dark days. And now they are working down there. Ministers are waiting, and very soon we'll see the formalities in terms of the Air Force Band that is here, but also we have the Presidential Guard that is on standby. Ministers are here in numbers. We have the Minister of International Relations from South Africa, and also the Minister of Foreign Affairs of France. You have ministers of trade and industry from both countries, ministers of science and technology, because you know that later today at the Pretoria University, they are going to discuss manufacturing of vaccines, therapeutics, but also drugs for COVID-19. France making a commitment to assist South Africa.
As you've heard there from Sophie talking to us about the various ministers that are actually at the event. Of course, in between myself and Sophie, taking you through the visuals, we will keep you abreast of what is happening for the next hour or so. And of course, we are hoping that this event will be quite fruitful at this particular point.
Well, with formalities of the way, right now the South African band, that is the Air Force band, rendering an item as President Macron is currently going to move across and inspect the guard, and the president standing there. You have ministers, yes, indeed, in large numbers. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Ibrahim Patel, I saw him earlier on. I think the important role he is going to play in this meeting or this visit, it is about issues that are related to the World Trade Organization, the push by South Africa and India to ensure that countries support South Africa's TRIPS waiver. The Minister of International Relations there, President Macron meeting Minister Naledi Pandor, Minister Zweli Mkhize, now Minister Togo Didiza, and also Minister of Defense Nosiviwe Mapisa Nqakula, the President introducing his delegation or his entourage. Minister Motsoaledi, the Minister of Home Affairs, and the next will be Minister of Women, Me Nkwane Mashabane, now meeting the President of France, President Macron. As I indicated, quite a number of ministers attending this important formalities. The Minister of Higher Education, Science and Technology there, Dr. Blade Nzimande, critical in the negotiations or the discussions around what science can do in terms of also South Africa playing its role in manufacturing of vaccines, drugs and therapeutics. You also have Minister Ibrahim Patel on issues of trade, you know, the TRIPS waiver. He is the person who will be dealing with that. Minister Mbalula of Transport, and of course the Minister of Labour, Minister there greeting the President of France. Of course, Minister of Tourism also. You know that tourism is quite important in the rebuilding of the economy. When you look at the impact of COVID-19 on tourism, it is indeed a real crisis. Dr. Zweli Mkhize there, the Minister of Health in South Africa, this afternoon they will be at Pretoria University discussing the issues that are related to COVID-19. Minister Patricia de Lille there, you know very well the role she is playing in terms of the infrastructure and also protecting the assets of the country. And quite a strong delegation from South Africa. Issues are important. It's all about trade, investment, security, and also building capacity on manufacturing of drugs, vaccines, therapeutics in South Africa. We expect an announcement later today. We know that a representative of the World Bank is in the country. He is going to join the two leaders later today. We also know that the CEO of BioVac, a pharmaceutical company in South Africa, a joint partnership, government and private sector, will be there, the CEO, perhaps giving an indication in terms of the needs of BioVac to be able to do just that, manufacturing of vaccine, therapeutics and drugs for COVID-19. We know that the Aspen CEO will also join them. Aspen has already started. We know that the commissioning of the work by Johnson & Johnson earlier this year for Aspen in Gqeberha to assist in manufacturing of vaccines or packaging thereof, as the world is scrambling for the most important vaccine that is able to address the problem of COVID-19. Now, you can see ministers from France, quite a huge delegation there. That's the ambassador. You can see him. We spoke to the ambassador yesterday. He was quite happy. He has been working very, very hard to prepare for this visit. We've spoken to him many times in 2019. Unfortunately, 2020, when the visit was supposed to happen, then we had a challenge of COVID-19.
Today I've been with men in uniform the whole day.
I hope it's a good day.
It's a good day, that's why.
Pleasure.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you now.
In charge of professional affairs.
Nice to meet you now.
Cabinet.
Nice to meet you.
And Paris, advisor.
Yes, I saw you the last time. Yes. Thank you.
President, in charge of Macron.
Nice to meet you. Okay. Let's go forward and we'll sit a little bit and then join us for our discussions.
Excellent.
Yeah.
on issues that are related to trade and investment. Now the two leaders will be having a private meeting where all the burning issues will be discussed before the entire entourage can join them, because you know that when you have visits like this, they do have private Well, President Ramaphosa sharing information on all the important institutions here in Pretoria, among them UNISA, the University of South Africa, the largest or the biggest university on the continent, with quite a huge number of students distance learning from the whole continent. The private meeting, usually called tete-a-tete, that's where the two leaders will definitely have a frank discussion, the two of them. And I think here the critical issue will be issue of security. Now the presidential guard preparing to leave the stage.
Of the
presidential guard behind me, and also in the background you can see the Air Force rendering that item. Now it is time for the discussions, the two leaders talking about thorny issues, and they will be joined later by ministers for a broader discussions, and later they will have a short media briefing. I don't know whether to call it a media briefing. We were told that it is unlikely that media will be allowed to ask many questions, but we'll see. But of course, stand by and wait for that media briefing where we'll have an opportunity, if possible, to ask questions, indeed hard questions. And later at the Pretoria University, join us later again where the two leaders will meet scientists and people who are playing an important role in addressing the problem of COVID-19 in South Africa and around the world. Back to you in studio.